Welcome to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we keep you motivated, inspired, and thinking big. Up-leveling into quantum revenue is a choice that we can all make in any moment, and then continue to make that choice to stay in that space each day. On this podcast, Ursula will share revenue growth strategies to reach your next level and introduce you to CEOs just like you who are making it happen. What's your next quantum leap going to be? See it, own it, and take that first step. If this is you, then Ursula wants to invite you to join us at the next 2X Intensive now. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. You are listening to Quantum Revenue Expansion with your host, Ursula Menchez. Let's go.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, the podcast. Super excited because I have a very special guest. He's back again. It's Chaz Wilson with Master Networks. Chaz, welcome.
Man, Ursula, I'm so excited. Thank you. Honored to be here.
I'm so excited too, because we always have these very interesting, we have interesting conversations before and after the show, and it's always interesting during the show.
Right.
Because today we're going to talk about quantum networking, grow your business at record speed. And I know you're a master in this area. This is how you live and breathe. So super excited to have this conversation. I just want to say to our listeners everywhere, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We love getting your emails. We love connecting. Let us know if there's anything we can do for you. And big announcement. This is the big announcement. It's my 6th book, Up Level Now. It's finally out. It took a little bit of time because of COVID and everything else that was going on in the world. It is out. It is right in this moment. It's actually happening. And you can get the book for just 99 cents this week, just 99 cents. And what's really cool is all the proceeds are going to be donated to Be Strong, which is an organization helping folks in the Ukraine right now, just helping them out, getting back on their feet. So we're super excited to be supporting that organization as we up level. We're going to help people in Ukraine and all over the world up level as well. So you'll find the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Up Level Now. It'll be in the show notes, and there's a little book trailer in the show notes as well, so you can check it out. So thanks so much for all your support. And again, it's only 99 cents this week. I hope you grab it, and I hope it really helps you. And with that, let me tell you we're just going to dive in because we have a lot to talk about today. Chaz Wilson, CEO and best-selling author, brings 20 years of experience building impactful businesses through networking. Today's he is connected with successful business owners, influencers, athletes, and celebrities through his company, Master Networks. His proven method has helped thousands of entrepreneurs expand their businesses, and he can't wait to share how you're only, I love this, one relationship away from changing your future. And that just continues to expand for you exponentially. So Chaz, for some of you, like go back and listen to the last time I interviewed Chaz, but for those of you who haven't met you yet, tell us about your journey into this world of networking, how you launched Master Networks, and why networking has been so critical to your business success.
Yeah, thanks, Ursula. First of all, congratulations on the new book. I've written several books. I know what that is like to put this project together and get it out there. So congratulations on that. So I think it's awesome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Looking forward to purchasing many copies. We actually just purchased a bunch for our audience. So super excited to get in their hands. But yeah, so for me, it was like, and there's actually a really interesting parallel to what's going on right now to when Master Network started 11 years ago. Because if you go back, the economy was like in this bubble. Real estate was growing. I owned a bunch of real estate companies and mortgage and title, and real estate was growing. And it was like, oh, the bubble won't burst. It's all good. And then like, boom, it hit. And, so for many years, it was like, oh, I can say, oh, I own this real estate company. But then when the bottom dropped out, what I owned was all the liabilities, and it was like no longer cool. Right.
Remember.
And so it was in that
times we owned real estate too. And we owned a real estate company for like 5 minutes and then the market crashed. But anyway.
Yeah. But if you look at the parallel right now, I mean, think like my home in 2 years has doubled in price. Yeah. It's crazy. And so like everyone thinks like it's not going to happen again. And I just think we're setting ourselves up to not be prepared. But for me, what happened was in that moment, first of all, my network was what helped me survive it. But I realized that at the time when I stepped away from the real estate companies and I looked at networking, people were bartering services. People were really reaching out. Those who had a network were leaning into it hard. And I was, because I built that over 10 years, but I saw an opportunity to take it to a deeper level, to make it more relational, less transactional. And I mean, I could go really deep into the story, but the high level is that, we had lost a lot. We had 5 little kids. We didn't have much to scrape at all. And then to come to my wife and be like, hey, I'm going to start a new company, a new business. It was just, looking back, feels like madness, but I felt like it was more of a mission than anything, like a calling from above, if you will. Like I needed to do this to support and help people. And so that's where that drive has come in. But we've been doing it for 11 years. We're in 26 states, thousands of members. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but we're impacting lives of business owners all over the country.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. 11 years.
Thank
Last
you.
year we were celebrating 10 years at the event. 11 years this year is amazing. You should be so proud of yourself for sticking with it. And I'm curious, I want to talk about this. So 2020,
Yeah.
speaking of things that happened, there was that little thing called the pandemic, which currently we're still kind of in. Like, I know a little bit different in Texas. I went to Texas last year and I don't think they knew that it was happening. So
yeah, it's like, it doesn't exist here. I don't understand why it exists in other places, right?
Everywhere else.
Right.
But you were in 26 states, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, and growing. So how did you lead your company through the pandemic? Because I know not every networking group has survived.
Yeah. So couple of things. One is I realized, first of all, we couldn't meet in person, right? In every state. So we made a decision as a leadership team. We were going to go to Zoom meetings. We're going to figure it out. We're going to pivot the agenda, the process, everything. We're going to just become masters at that. And we did. In fact, our entire New York region is still, they love it so much. And there's so much benefit out of that they've stayed completely on Zoom. And a lot of our groups have across the country, they've stayed Zoom. And now we give them a choice, right? You can do Zoom. And the cool part is I can visit a chapter in New York now because it's on Zoom versus flying there. So that was number one. We made that change. And number two, I feel like in every business, you have an opportunity to advocate and defend for your customers. And so I decided to do that, to be the loudest voice. And so every day I went live on social media for typically an hour. It was at night in the evening. And I talked about how do you survive business. I brought in experts. I brought in people from my network. What are you doing? How are you changing your business? I talked about the different loan options, right? That the government was offering. And I wasn't an expert on it, but I tried to learn it, get it out there. I just tried to advocate and defend everything I could for business owners. And we did 100, I forget the total, but like 125 straight nights live for our people. And I've had people come back and say, man, that really got me through tough times. I felt connected to the group. And then at 125 nights, I like my family was kind of like, okay, like it's time to check out just a little bit. And I invited some of my team to take over, and we did it like for another 90 days after that. So that was some of the stuff we did to lead, because we realized if we don't become that voice, somebody else will.
Right.
And that's what we wanted to do right from go.
Yeah, that's incredible, because what is that? That's like 6 months. Did my first grade math. That's 6 months going live. And we found that the same with our clients. Like, we just needed to stay connected. And it's one of the reasons we moved over to group coaching, because our CEOs just wanted to be together. They just wanted to know there was somebody there as we, started living in our Zoom rooms. So when you reflect, I mean, because let's face it, and I'm so tired of saying this word, but I don't have another one yet. I haven't figured out what it is. We are still in interesting times.
Yeah.
And no one knows, like it could get more interesting. And as business owners, as we tell our clients, like, we don't have a choice. I mean, we always have a choice. We could choose to like not be in business anymore. For most of our CEOs, that's not a choice, right? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The choice is to keep going, keep growing, keep thriving. When you look back, what are the biggest lessons learned that you will take forward for Master Networks, no matter what happens in the world?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because our leadership team is in the midst of some conversations of some change, right? And it's funny, like the marketplace, the world forced us to change.
Right.
It's fascinating in that discussion. There was no hesitation. It was like, we're changing. Here's what we're doing. Go. And now when it's our choice, if you will, we're talking about, well, we need to improve this and we need to change this. Yeah, but what if our customer's this, or what if our customer's that, or what? And it's like, okay, do we all agree it's the right decision? We need to improve this or do this thing. Well, yeah. So what are we afraid of now? Like all of a sudden, when we're forced to, it just feels like it's the thing to do. But when you feel like it's the right thing to do, or your customers are telling you, but you're not forced to, all of a sudden doubt comes in. And I just think that what the pandemic timeline taught us was like, we can't fear making decisions that we feel are best for our customers. Like, for example, adding value to the customer. We think, well, if we do that, or if we raise a price, or if we do anything, we're protecting. I don't want to, because I'm protecting my customer, not raising it. No, because then we can't provide the values and services they need. We're not actually protecting our customer. We're actually hurting our customer. And so some of the things that we're discussing right now, I'm just like, we've almost fallen back in the mindset pre-pandemic, and we need to, like, smack ourselves and shake that off and go like, no, like, what did we actually learn? Otherwise we fall right back in the same trap. So I think it's, don't have any fear. And number two, go fast. Go fast. Like, things changed within days during the pandemic.
Right.
Like, people pivoted and fast. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, we'll do that in 3 months now. It's like, why are we lazy again? Come on, let's go. Let's move it fast. So those to me is, getting rid of the fear and moving quick.
Yeah, love it. Definitely. If that's pandemic taught us anything, it is we have to be in that space of fearlessness.
Yeah. Can I add one more? Sorry,
yeah,
just because it just occurred to me. Sometimes you go through changes, you don't realize, like, but something you just said too, and it made me think, like, one of the other things that we're doing is we're making, so if I can pull back the curtain a little bit, we're making some big decisions right now, and completely, like, restructure. Because here's what I think is happening, and maybe this wasn't exactly the question, but I think we learned it in the pandemic, is all of a sudden, because there was like a fear we could lose everything if we don't make changes. Now I look at it and like, okay, but this is the problem I went through in 2007, 2008, 2009, is I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. And I think as business owners, we've got to really look right now, like, yes, inflation is going on, and that means there's more money in the marketplace, but there's going to be an effect and a trickle down over the next couple of years. And so, like, for example, I'll just give you a couple. We're looking at every department in our organization right now and going, what's the revenue they bring in, and what's the expense liability, and what do we need to do about that? The second thing we're doing is, like, our lease is up in our space. We have this beautiful space. Well, I did the math. I was like, since I've been in Texas for 6 years, I spent almost $600,000 in rent. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now last night I made an offer and bought a building, and okay, so now I can rent that building to myself. Right. As an asset than a liability. So there's just all these things that, like, the pandemic taught me, kind of like woke us up to, and looking at the way we're being strategic with our finances, with our growth, with our expansion, et cetera.
I'm so glad you guys bought a building. Congratulations. That is, I think that's been on the list for a while. Just own the building, rent to myself, need more tax write-offs. How do we do this?
Yeah.
It's a great point too. Like, just really assessing everything in the company right now to be ready I think what you're saying is to be as lean as possible, and to be able to move as quickly as possible if we need to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So many questions. So let's skate over to quantum networking, or really what that means. And as I was thinking about interviewing you and having you back on the show, you're a master networker. We've talked about that. Like, you network at we're always networking, but you're very strategic in your networking. You're very strategic in the conversation you have. And you've been very intentional about who comes into your inner circle, in terms of, your own inner circle, which you have for your clients, as well as your inner circle of CEOs that you surround yourself with. Yeah. So talk about, like, what's your mindset now, especially coming through the pandemic, when you think about networking at that, we'll call it quantum level, so you can move really quickly in your business. What does that mean to you?
Means a couple of things. And I think most people look at networking as like this passive skill, like they know they should do it. Everyone says it. They don't really even understand it, quite frankly. And what I understand about networking is everything. You said it at the beginning, right? You're only one relationship away from changing your future. I actually believe that. It's not just a cool statement. I believe that, and I've been fortunate enough to have 8 or 10 of these relationships, which is why then you get to this sort of quantum explosive growth, not just business, but personal development. Every aspect of it is people in my life who are like, Jess, why aren't you thinking here? Right. And we even talked about it before we started recording. It's like higher level networking. Well, what does that mean? It's not higher that the person's better. It's higher that they maybe think more expansive. They challenge me to be better. And so as I've sort of up-leveled my networking and done that, I've been, like you said, very strategic. But there's one thing I think that most people miss in networking. It's this. and I do a visual now on stage when I'm speaking, because it like really drives the point home. And I'll have like, 5 people come up and I say, okay, if I add you to my network, now you stand right in front of me, and I kind of go like, 45 degrees, and I have another person stand in front of me and another, and I kind of surround myself with these people visually, if you can picture that. And I say, okay, great. You're now my network. I could reach out to you whenever I have a need. And that's how most people think of networking. And then I'll get like 7 or 8 people on an outer ring, and I'll put them further out on the stage. And sometimes I've even given them like a roll up piece of paper or whatever. And I say, now the outside group, I want you to throw that at me, like throwing a rock at me, And guess what? Half the time it gets through and the other half it doesn't. And I say, this is the point. As you expand and as you grow and you have a business, you're going to get a bad review. You're going to get somebody that doesn't like you. You're going to get somebody that takes a shot at you on social media, whatever it is. You know what your network does? They insulate you. They protect you. Because as soon as somebody starts, and we had it during the pandemic. Oh, Master Networks did this, or Master Networks did that, or Chaz said this. And all of a sudden my network came to the rescue. And it was more apparent than ever. They were like, well, that's not the Chaz I know. That's not been my experience. He's great at this and he's great at that, or the company's great at this. And I was like, holy smokes. You know what it's like to have an army of advocates everywhere? And that's the part that I think most people miss about a network.
So beautiful. That's a great way to think of it. I remember when I got my first bad book review, I was devastated.
Right?
It was on Amazon. This was years ago. And I just sat with it and I just left it. And finally I just stopped looking at it. And what I realized is the guy had never read my book. He didn't read my book.
Yeah.
He just wanted to leave a bad review. So anyway, I think 3 months later, I just happened to look in there again. And one of my clients, a young guy, like maybe in his early 20s, had been to sales camp like a couple years before that, left a comment underneath that review and was like what you were just saying, like, obviously you guys can go and find this. It's under Selling with Intention. He was selling with intention or selling with synchronicity, one of those two. He was like, you've obviously never met her. Everything that's in the book is true. I've lived it with her, all this stuff. And I thought, wow, I'm so glad I didn't respond. I just let it go. And I think that's a great reminder. Like when you can let that stuff just go like this, know that the truth always comes through. And we're not perfect as leaders. We're never perfect. And we're not going to put out perfect stuff. Like I'm sure there's errors in my book that's going to be launched. And I'm sure people will tell me what they are. That's fine. It's not about being perfect, but it is about, like you said, having those people around you that will be there for you in that moment.
Yeah, and they're also a group of people that challenge you to be better. I mean, I'm in some, here's the other thing too about your network. I think there's sort of like formal and informal, right? So you have this informal people, we're in each other's network. And then like there's in these really formal groups I'm a part of, I pay a lot of money to be in. And I think that's great. Like, I actually think that's, people say, well, I shouldn't pay for that relationship. No, you should, because you pay attention to what you pay for. And so I'm in this group, and, what's fascinating is 2 things happened for me. The person who runs the group says to me, you need to implement this thing. I can see it in your business. You need to implement. I go back and it's easily $1 million+ a year. Like, and I don't even just like, I can quantify that easily for what that was. Number 2 was then the people in that network who are just amazing people that I'm getting so much value from, not just business, but personally, like reached out, and, when you have those tough times and we're having conversations, uplifting and up-leveling each other, that's an important thing as a business owner to have. If you don't have it, seek those groups out, because they're out there.
Yeah.
They're totally out there.
Yes. And you and I talked about this too. Like every time, if I invest in a group like that, I go in with the expectation that there'll be a 10 times return on my investment. And that's just the financial part. That doesn't count the amazing relationships, the conversations you have on the side, like all the other, like I'm flying into the end of the month to Portland to see one of my mastermind groups. And I can't wait, because I have no idea what's going to come from that, but it's going to take my business to another level. And it's like having that knowing and that faith and that expectation. It's interesting you said, I've heard you say this before, and I don't know if this is someone else said this and you quote them, or this is you, but you pay attention to what you pay for. Because you say that a lot. I remember you saying it, I think last year at maybe it was at Connect. And when people ask me the same thing, it's like, how do you invest so much, hundreds of thousands of dollars in mastermind groups, coaching, networking? And it's exactly that. Because when I invest at that level, I show up.
Oh, yeah.
I expect that there's going to be great ideas. Like you go in knowing that you're going to get so much from it. And I think there are times when people invest at that level, but they go in with the opposite of like, what can I get? Like what's coming to me? And you miss all the opportunities. So it's also like like the mindset you're showing up with, what you're bringing, what you're giving, and it's just how it comes back to you. So here's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
How do you figure out where to hang out, who to network with? Because I think people are like, well, where do I go? How would I know? Because you and I are in totally different groups, but we're in them, we pay for them, and we get up leveled. So
Yeah.
how have you decided?
For me, it's super easy. There's two things. One is the person or the people in the group. They either have been or are where I want to be, like from a business standpoint, or
Right.
like that just has to be like qualification number one. Number two, and this is going to sound more like, for me, it did originally, but now when I really understand it, it's like, sounds a little foo-foo, if you will, but it has to align with my core values. And I'll give you a perfect example. I really strongly considered a group of, it was all men business owners, and it was a lot of like military style, like, physical stuff and yelling at you and all that. And I was like, that doesn't really even align with me whatsoever. Like, I'm sure they're valuable. Like that doesn't mean they're not valuable, but for me, it's not the value I'm looking for. Right. Like I don't need an F-bomb every other word yelled at me to like motivate me at all. In fact, it doesn't. But what motivates me is seeing other amazing men and women who are, faithful and honest to their spouse and are family people and are like growing something that they feel there's a mission behind. Like that was what I was looking for. And so I'm clear about my 5 core values and what they are. And if that group didn't align with them, I absolutely cannot be part of it whatsoever. So for me, it's qualification number 1. And then number 2 is the values.
Yeah, definitely. So they need to be where you want to go, or they've been there. And then values. I can't say enough about that. I think that piece is missed a lot. And you and I have been in the industry long enough, whatever the industry is, to have seen a lot of very interesting things. And it's pretty heartbreaking. And what I decided a long time ago was that I was going to stay in my own lane, same thing, and I would only be in those groups that were in alignment with my values and family and freedom and those pieces that, and faith, like that has to be there. And so for those who are listening, like think about that. And some of you are probably in groups right now that aren't a fit. And that's probably why. It's probably you're out of values alignment. It's the same with clients, right? Like when we talk about this in our courses, that if you allow clients in who are out of alignment with your values and the values of your company, you will find out very quickly, and hopefully you won't do that again because it's painful. And it's not about good or bad. It's just about out of alignment with values. How does that, has that shown up for you as well with just, how do you, because I've been there. I've been at Connect. We're going to talk about Connect. I've been at, with Master Networks. You've built this incredible community. Is a big part of it just because you and your team are so clear on your core values as an organization that people know pretty quickly whether or not it's a fit?
I think that's part of it. I think it's a big part of it. And let me just maybe take one step back about this, because I think I'll just be straight with you. Like I had every coach, every person coming to me going, you got to have your core values. I'm like, oh my gosh, core values. Like I get it. I'll pick 5 words. I'll put it on the wall and we'll call it core values. That's honestly, it's so bad to say out loud, but that's how I look at it.
Checking a box. I get it. Yeah. There's a lot to do in a business. It doesn't seem like a big deal at first. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had a coach that shared this with me, and then I understood it differently. So if I can just take 30 seconds to share this, because I was like, oh my gosh, it was so life-changing. He said, and I'll give you an example. He said, I want you to think about something that really triggered you. And that was the word he used. Like what happened? And he goes, the reverse of it is your value. Because like, and all of a sudden the light bulb went off for me. He's like, see, everyone tries to pick their values by going, what's 5 words that really feel like they align with me? It's like, no, here's the easiest way you figure it out. You figure out what triggered you, and the reverse is your value. So I'll give you an example. One of my coaching clients called me and we had talked about this for himself. Like, what are your values? And he called me up and he said, hey, a friend of mine who's an architect designed our office for us, everything like that. And then I just got a letter to an open house to one of our competitors for their new building, and the pictures are identical to our office. And I am pissed. And I said, whoa, hold on. This is awesome.
Great example.
Yeah. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, this is because he wanted advice on how to handle the conversation. I was like, no, no, no. What happened here? What got violated for you? Trust, loyalty, all of these things, like okay, great. So reverse that. Like what happened? You feel betrayed. You feel the reverse of that is your value, because it is coming up for you hard. And so for me, when we came up with our values, it was like, what has happened to me or our group or our company? And as a group, a collective, we came up with these values. So you're right. Like if you don't align with those values, it's going to be very apparent very fast. And we use our values for everything. It's how we get rid of people. It's how we hire people. It's how we do everything. Strategic alliances, if it doesn't align with our values, we just don't move forward.
Yeah. True confession. I was like you. It was like one more thing to check. I got it. Like I knew what my values were. I thought they were, one of my coaches, God bless her. She was like, you got to get them on your website. And she gave me a deep exercise to, go through the process and just really fine tune them. And now we talk about them. We talk about them all the time. It's a big part of, even when we're making an offer, we talk about our core values. And if this doesn't align with you, this is how you know if it's a fit for you. If you're in alignment with these values, community, freedom, family, spirituality, like those pieces, and it's helped to clarify everything. So I'm sharing that too, because I want to put an exclamation point there for our listeners. What you just said, what triggers you, and like really digging into that, the opposite of that is your values. That is gold. That is gold. So for everyone, get your values, figure them out. Chaz, your method will take 5 minutes versus others that take a lot of time. So that's fast. All right, we have a little bit of time yet. Is there anything else? So think about your networking journey. Like, is there any other story that you'd like to share where, there was this one, even like a random connection that led to a major up level in your business? You already shared one great story, but maybe it was unexpected or just a pivotal point in your business life that changed everything.
Yeah, I'll just say, so here's the process for how I do it. Because you said earlier, I'm very strategic in it, and I am. And I think, I'm sure sometimes when I say that from the outside looking in, they're like, well, that's not how relationships should happen. Like, I'm not trying to match make all my business relationships, but at the same time, why wouldn't I look for people I admire? I think that what they've done is amazing. I want to, I model things after their business. So I make a list. I call it, my top 20 list. Yeah. And I make this top 20 list, and I'm constantly like looking at people, and I can't even tell you, Ursula, how many people are now friends of mine. I don't say it as like it's happened because I was strategic about it. And some of them I've met on that list that then our values don't align and they're not friends of mine, but at least now they're off the list, and I'm not trying to, for whatever reason, doesn't make them good, doesn't make them bad. It's just, we don't align. And so, but yeah, I had one. So I'll just give you a quick example. I was at an event, and so I have this person who's on my list, and their company had a sales booth, and I got to know the salesperson, and we became friends. And it was like over a year we were friends. And this person said, hey, he has an inner circle, an event, and that he opens up to like 12 people on planet Earth. And once you're in, and the only way to get in is if somebody drops out. Like, there's no other way to get in. So they're in for life, kind of thing. And I said, man, I would love that opportunity if it ever opens up. 3 months goes by. I actually said it on stage at Connect last year. I said that from stage, that someday I think that will happen. He wasn't there, didn't know about it, but then I get a phone call. And he said, hey, this opportunity's opened up. I was like, yeah. He's like, here's how much it is. I'm like, well, whoa, take a step back. It wasn't what I was thinking. It was a lot more. And I just said, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I did it. Now, here's the key, though. This is what I hope everyone listens to. So I got into that relationship, and I'm friends with this person. Now we're actually talking about business opportunities, but don't forget the person that made the introduction. And so for example, this gentleman said, I'm a super big fan of this one football player. He's from our hometown, et cetera. I happen to know him. He didn't know that. That's a irony in itself. I went and got a signed jersey. And when I came up to the first event, everyone wants to meet the person who we're there to see in his mastermind. But here's the sales guy over here. And I was like, hey, by the way, buddy, I got you this jersey signed by and he wore it for 2 days. I was like, this isn't a jersey you wear. Like, you got to put this up somewhere because you're going to get mustard on it or something. Like, just put it away. But now he tells it. And for the whole 3 days, I was not Chaz. I was, oh, you're the guy that got Robbie the jersey. That's what I was. And so I will forever be grateful for him, and he will forever be grateful for me. And that's the part of networking that closes the loop and keeps that going, but just be really strategic with it.
Yeah. And on that note, let's give a shout out to Tina Altman. Hopefully
Yes.
she'll do this, because she can. I remember when she said, she's like, hey, she's very direct. Tina knows she's very direct. She's like, hey, you gotta meet Chaz. And what's interesting is I had someone else already talking to your company. So we had two people talk, and I didn't know, you know, I just was back. I'm still kind of new in Minnesota, and I was getting all caught up with what was happening in the networking space. And so she just kept saying that. And shout out to Tina Altman, because she connected us, and it's been amazing to be part of Master Networks. It's been amazing to be part of Mastery, one of your coaching programs. And I'm going to be back at Connect. So let's segue into that. So many things. So first, okay, for people who are like, Chaz is a cool guy, I feel like I align with his values, I want to learn more about Master Networks. Let's start there. So how?
Yeah. Well, for all three of those people that think I'm a cool guy.
There might be four, Chaz, come on.
Right. Master Networks is a networking organization that we have in 26 states plus and growing. It's based on relationships first, enhanced with education. And then, business and referrals are a byproduct. When we don't put referrals first, right? Relationship first. Because if it's just transactional, it's based on referrals, and it's always about what can you do for me now? And that's shallow. It doesn't last long. And so that's just in a 20-second soundbite. That's what Master Networks is. It's a networking organization of like-minded, service-oriented business owners who come together to connect, share, and prosper together.
Yeah, and you can go to masternetworks.com. And I want to say, I've met not only just great business people who I'm doing business with. You probably don't even know about all the things that happen behind the scenes.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Right. And shout out to Michael Treithart, Jeff Kale, who's on his team. Yeah. We've been sending tons of referrals their way, and they're helping a lot of our clients now. Tammy Greenslade, right?
Yeah.
Greenslade.
Yes, Greenslade. Yeah.
And then just so many others, Paula, just so many. Anyway, it's been lots of business happening, and I'm grateful for all those connections, because it's been great. And so just can't say enough good things about the people who are part of Master Network. So if you're looking for a networking group, and there's options to be virtual, so you can certainly do that. There's options. I know they're in person in Minnesota. It sounds like they've been live and in person. So lots of opportunity. Masternetworks.com. We will put that in the show notes. Then April, the end of April, not quite the end.
21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Thank you. We have Connect 2022, which I spoke last year. It was amazing. It's your annual event. So tell us about the event. Could I still join Master Networks and come to Connect if I wanted to network, or are you closed out?
No, there's still some seats left, and you don't even have to be a member of Master Networks. We probably have every year 10 or 15% of the audience is not Master Networks members. So
thank you. Okay.
Yep, you don't have to be. In fact, we welcome that. We've had people who are not even business owners who come. We have kids that come, 12, 14-year-old kids that want to, learn how to increase their personal development, et cetera. And so it's 3 days. It's speakers like yourself, Ursula, myself, and amazing. We always try to get the most amazing lineup of people. It is an event where you can come learn world-class education about business and personal development. Second, connect and network with amazing people who align with values of relationships first, and then just have a great time. We also have a lot of fun at the event, and we have one of the coolest MCs out there. He MCs for Tony Robbins, and so we get just this high level, high energy event. And so attend-connect.com and get a ticket and come join us.
Yeah, Devin's going to be back. I was so excited to see that. That's so exciting. All right, attend-connect.com. We'll have that in the show notes as well. And then finally, so you have a really cool inner circle. You've written books. We see 5+1 behind you.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your inner circle, and if someone would want to connect with you directly.
Yeah, so the pro of growing a business is it expands and it grows, and one of the downsides for probably most entrepreneurs is you can't touch every part of it anymore, right? That's where we've evolved to. And so about a year ago, during the pandemic, as we were starting to get things rolling again, I said, I really want to develop a group of people that I can give my best work to, that I can give all that time and focus and energy, because I've helped a lot of businesses grow their business. But I wanted to do it with a group of people and help them up level and help them change and challenge their thinking and so on and so forth. And so we organized the Inner Circle and just launched it. We had our first retreat. It was amazing. We had some amazing speakers. We had an actor who's been in over 260 films and TV come talk about how he started his movie career, and they learned a ton from that. And we go have fun together. We play together. We got a summer retreat up at the lake house. It's going to be just a blast. And so, but for me, it's more about creating a group of people who want to improve themselves. It has nothing to do with flexing those muscles of business and how much egos have to be left at the door. So if people want to learn more, they can go to my website, chazwilson.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Chaz. So chazwilson.com, will have that at the show notes as well. Chaz, always fun to hang out with you. Looking forward to being at Connect in just like a month. It's less than a month already. So looking forward to it. Thank you for having me back and for all the things that you've done to support my business and my clients. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and pleasure to be here with you today.
We'll have you back. We'll definitely have you back again.
Looking forward to it.
And to our listeners all over the world, thanks for hanging out with us. And just a reminder, this is the week. You can get UpLevel now on, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on barnesandnoble.com, 99 cents for the week. So go out and grab your copy. And again, all proceeds are going to go to Be Strong, to really support what's happening in Ukraine right now and really helping them UpLevel out of that crisis. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you here next week. Take care.
Thank you for joining us today. And if you are ready to make your next quantum leap, let's do it. Ursula invites you to join us at the 2X Intensive. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.